Humans have always gazed up at the stars. For thousands of years, we thought they were as close as the sun and the moon. But now, we know just how vast the universe is. The closest star is about 25 trillion miles away. The first people who journey to the stars will be venturing into the absolute unknown. And perhaps for the first time, traveling faster than light. Around the world, scientists are testing new technologies and probing deep into the heart of physics to find a way for us to escape our island, Earth. To explore this final frontier will never be dimmed. And one day, we will reach it. Because what man can imagine, man can do.
Time for Gateway News. Brought to you by Stargate Command. And by Chimera Assets and Security Holdings. Now for our host, Ard Beg.
Hello and welcome to the new episode of Gateway News. Thank you, Random Announcer Guy, for introducing me to the community. Hopefully, that's all he told you guys about me. Well, as you can see, we've had a few changes here at Gateway News. We have a new sponsor and some new contributors with the Chimera Assets and Security Holdings Group. In fact, we're going to launch right into some content with an interview with the CEO of Cash, Magnum PI. All right, and we're here with Magnum PI, the CEO of Chimera Assets and Security Holdings, or Cash. Magnum, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to jump right in because really this is just a quick informational. It's really exciting this month. It's the first time that Gateway News has actually been sponsored and had participants from two different organizations from the RSI community. So folks that have seen our show in the past, they know all about Stargate Command. Tell me a little bit about yourself and about Cash.
Well, I've been a backer since October 2013. I'd been following the game sort of on and off again until a member of our group, we were active in PlanetSide at the time, told us that this new sweet Star Citizen game had come out and that we should all take a look at it. He'd exaggerated a little bit when he said come out, but nevertheless, we all decided to back in, and I led the charge. My first ship was a Constellation.
Wow, so you just went head first, huh?
I jumped in real hard and heavy. In all honesty, I actually melted that Constellation that night, and I backed at the $5,000 war pack that evening.
Oh, man.
I went a little hard and heavy in the beginning.
So out of that war pack, do you have a favorite ship you're looking forward to flying?
Obviously, it's the Idris. Hands down, in my opinion, the prettiest ship and the most expansive and most detailed. Ever since, the only reason I backed at that level in the beginning was just for that ship specifically. And I've been looking forward to it ever since. And each little teaser image they put out drives me a little more insane waiting for it.
Yeah, the Idris is definitely amazing. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully I can be a guest on yours. I know we've got a couple on our side too. So, I mean, the cool thing about Star Citizen 2 is it's such a huge game. It's so multifaceted. There's so much you can do. So what really draws you to games like, or to Star Citizen?
You know, Star Citizen, I've heard a lot of people say that they're drawn by Chris Roberts, or they were old Wing Commander fans or whatever. This is actually my first space sim, and I hate to admit it, but I watched Wing Commander when I was about 10 years old, and I absolutely hated the movie. But I've come back around now. The idea of this very high fidelity game with incredible graphics and realism and an unbelievable scope, sort of the fact that the only limiter in playing this game is my own imagination is really what excites me about it and drives me to keep wanting to, throw more money at it and get more people involved. Simply the fact that I and my friends can all get together on this and sort of do whatever we want, whether it's, play the economic metagame or just blow pirates out of space.
No, that's awesome. And you kind of brought up your friends a little bit. You got a few that have actually signed up with you. What, you're going on like 300 or so that have joined Cash? Tell us a little bit about Cash.
Cash started about 3 years ago as a PlanetSide 2 group, and we migrated over to Star Citizen 2 years ago when I wanted to take us in a slightly more legitimate direction, and we were all burning out. Really what we strove to do at the time, we didn't quite realize this was the direction we were going in. We wanted to create an organization built on sort of corporate best practice. The majority of our members come from white-collar industries, from engineering to construction management to former corporate executives. We have a lot of people with a lot of experience in operating in an office in a corporate environment. And so we tried to tap all that experience and create an organization based on everything we'd learned. And that's what we've really been striving to do ever since, is create an organization where someone with that kind of experience and who's looking for an organized environment that's different from the traditional, pyramid hierarchy that comes from the military-style organizations can find a good home.
That's awesome. And it kind of answers my next question, which had to do with, what Cash offers a new member. So you mentioned a lot of your members actually come from a business background. So is that kind of what you guys are looking for as far as people joining your organization?
It actually is. We're selective recruiters. We don't do blanket recruiting. We really try to target people. And the criteria that we really shoot for, this is not to say that the only members we have fall under these. We take everyone who passes our interview process. We try to look for people who are older, preferably with families or with jobs. That may sound strange because the fewer commitments in someone's life, the more they'll play the game. But in our mind, someone with a family or with a job understands balancing their time, understands balancing priorities, and probably has themselves a little bit more in order. And so they won't be as fickle sometimes, or as flaky, if you will, with their time commitments. We can get them to schedule, and we like having that mature, family-friendly environment there that comes from having people who have families.
Awesome, man. Now that's cool. That's really like kind of a different point of view than you might see with some orgs. But with a game like Star Citizen, there's going to be a lot of different folks in the verse, and I think that's really interesting. Well, I really want to get into the rest of the program. I know we have some great segments lined up tonight, both from the folks at SGC and from the folks at Cash. So before we dive into those other segments, any closing statements for the folks that are watching?
You guys are going to have a great show tonight. We really look forward to all the content that's been put together for this. You're going to love it.
Awesome, Magnum. Hey, thanks again, and I'll see you in the verse.
See you in the verse.
There comes a time in a man's life when he begins to question. Question his life. Question what's important. Question the values by which he's lived. Few like the answers they often come to. Fewer still face their past without remorse or regret. Regret like that can consume a man, push him to the edge, push him over the edge. But the funny thing about questions like that is how easily they can be turned around. Maybe your values weren't wrong. Maybe your time was. It's not your fault for being born in the wrong time, but it is your fault for not living it the right way. When a man's presented with an opportunity for his values to thrive, shouldn't he take it? Show the values he's made of? These are the values of Chimera. Anyone can be original. Be exceptional. Others are sure to notice. Anyone can be responsible for something that matters. Take a responsibility that shows who you are, what you're made of. Show that you aren't afraid to explore. To fight. To defend. To seize victory. You're a warrior. A trader. A leader. And a gentleman. Welcome to Cash.
Hey, that was some really cool content, guys. I really liked that animation and the commercial y'all put together, and I'm sure all the viewers enjoyed it as well. So let's go ahead and let's get directly into some of our content this month. We're going to start off with some of our contributors over on the Stargate side. So Stardust has put together some of the top community-made content for Star Citizen. And after that, we've got an interview with an ace pilot in the Star Citizen community, Hydro Big Bang. Take it away, guys.
Hello audience, this is your host, Stardust HD, bringing you the top 5 community-made items of the month in Star Citizen. Number 5. Coming in at number 5 is a collection of musical numbers that can only be described as a masterpiece. Many of you have most likely heard of it. I am of course referring to the unofficial soundtrack for Star Citizen. The unofficial soundtrack is an album of electro-orchestral music created by an extremely talented group of musicians. Members of the project include Nick Fitzgerald, Yu-Chen Tian, Fernando Pepe, Nick D, and Caden L. Wellborn, who is the project lead. Together, this 5-man team have created a truly awe-inspiring work of art. Their music evokes a range of emotions from excitement, joy, and eccentricity to fear, mystery, and intrigue. But enough talk. Here's a small snippet of what you can find on the unofficial soundtrack. Riveting stuff. Now, let's move on to the 4th on our list. Number 4. Number 4 on our list is short but sweet. Today we're featuring the 5-1's personal rendition of the Vanguard, the Aegis Vanguard T. Here's what he had to say about the Vanguard, and I quote, "With the Vanguard being described as a heavily armored, long-range destroyer with advanced sensor and tracking capabilities, I figured the role of a charging bulldog is just one side of the coin." End quote. The 5-1 equipped the Vanguard T with a cutting-edge railgun manufactured by K&W, as well as a long-range target acquisition sensor for distance engagements. Overall, this ship is a sleek reimagination of the Vanguard and is well deserving of the number 4 spot on our list. Number 3. Coming in at number 3 on our list is possibly one of the funniest collections of artwork I've ever seen, and that is Azadama's CIG staff tribute photo montage art. It's hard to describe in words the wacky and crazy funny concepts Adama comes up with for this art montage. He's always poking a jab or two at staff member or other, whether it be Ben and Sandy, a particular developer or coder, or the big man himself, Mr. Chris Roberts. If you're looking for a laugh, I would highly recommend checking his forum thread, as it's constantly being updated with new photos to keep you chuckling. Number 2. The number 2 spot on our list goes out to a very talented visual artist who goes by the username of Prometheus. For quite some time now, Prometheus has been producing logos and insignias for the many factions, groups, and organizations within the Star Citizen universe. Each insignia has a hefty production value and gives off an atmosphere that screams professional. Prometheus's work is definitely some of the most polished visual work I have seen on the RSI forums to date. For more artwork, make sure to check his profile, which has additional vector work, sketches, and outlines. Number 1. The number 1 community-made item on our list goes far beyond the virtual boundaries of a video game. Mr. Combustible went above and beyond to create something so cool, some say it triggered the nerdgasm heard around the world. Yes, that's right. Mr. Combustible made a life-sized, 3D printed set of heavy UEE marine armor, as well as a Bearing P4 CQB rifle. He intends to wear this as a cosplay to PAX Australia. Again, this is possibly the coolest thing I've ever seen on the RSI forums. For all the details and golden nuggets of information on this set of armor, make sure to go view Mr. Combustible's thread for yourself. It's one hell of a piece of work. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed.
Hello everybody, welcome to Gateway News. My name is Fian Cord. I'm the leader of the SGC's Ministry of Defense Marine Sector, and I was going to talk with Hydro Big Bang, one of our community's best pilots currently. How are you doing, Hydro?
I'm well. Just got done wiping up in Arena Commander.
Alright, so we're just going to take a couple minutes to get to know you, how you fly, because you are one of the top people on the leaderboards, which is a pretty big thing right now. So you fly with Track IR and HOTAS, is that correct?
Yes, I fly with a Thrustmaster HOTAS Warthog, SciTech ProFlight rotor pedals, and Track IR, and I use the Track IR to aim my gimbals around.
Yeah, that's something that I've always been interested in trying out, but I don't have the equipment for it. How hard has it been to try and learn how to fly with joystick? I mean, a lot of people fly with mouse because it's so much easier.
It definitely requires more effort. It's a lot more intensive. It came fairly natural to me back when I first started using it. This is a long time ago.
Yeah, so you've been playing
in-game keybinds. Yeah.
You've been using joystick for a while then.
Yeah, I played flight sims like DCS, IL-2, Arma, things like that. So it wasn't very hard for me to, get used to the Warthog. The hardest part for me was figuring out how to do the keybinds, and then they came out with the these third-party tools you use for keybinds. But actually learning to fight with it, yeah, it's not the easiest thing. It feels great though to use it, and it's very satisfying to get kills with it.
I can imagine it's very immersive. So what was your first space or flight simulator that you ever played?
The first flight sim I ever played was IL-2 Sturmovik, Wings of Prey. I played it on the Xbox way back when, and I got my Track IR. I had just gotten Track IR, and I was testing out the Arma 2, and I'm like, man, I need a flight game. Oh, IL-2, that was pretty cool. So I got IL-2. The first real deal flight sim I got, though, was DCS A10C Warthog. This
DCS.
is fully simulated. It's
DCS is what's DCS exactly?
Digital Combat Series, or some people pronounce it
okay.
Digital Combat Simulator. It's basically the same stuff. It's similar to what they do to train real pilots. Every single switch has a function. Every switch, button, lever, knob. The flight manual is 600-700 pages.
Wow.
It's basically replicating flying the real deal thing. Takes
Yeah.
lots of training and practice. That was my first real deal flight sim.
I can imagine that's very complicated to learn how to do.
I've never been so satisfied just taking off. I mean, you think, oh, satisfaction comes from killing things and blowing things to bits. No, satisfaction in DCS comes from, learning to ramp start in A10C. Learning to cold start it without looking at the instruction manual or nothing.
I can imagine.
That's satisfying.
To me, it's a bit of both, but I've never played any hardcore simulators. The first simulator I played was X-Wing, the Star Wars X-Wing game, and that was back when I was like 8 or something.
I'd never even played any real deal, space sim, space anything.
But how do you feel about Star Citizen right now? Or like, how did you feel about when you first saw it compared to now?
I have no doubts whatsoever, even given the current state of the game. It's alpha, it's broken, I don't care. I still have absolute confidence in Chris Roberts and CIG to deliver on everything they said they want to deliver. Ever since it came out, when I first saw the Squadron 42 trailer, I was absolutely awestruck. This was about 30 minutes, literally 30 minutes before original backing ended. And I went into a complete panic just trying to buy the thing. I was so hyped for it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I still have absolute confidence it's gonna be okay. People, given the current state of the game, it's not good. But that's okay. It'll get fixed. The greatness has yet to be achieved. It's coming.
What is your first package that you ever got?
It's the Digital Scout. It's the Aurora MR. My original ship was an Aurora MR with the old rusty old hangar. The first thing I flew was an Aurora MR.
The aerospace hangar.
Yeah, I didn't come across I never got the Hornet until a little bit before I was able to play multiplayer. Before that, it was Vandal's Horn with my Aurora, and then I got the Hornet, and then I went into multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I have the same amount of firepower as the mouse users with gimbals.
So, what was your favorite ship? You mentioned the Super Hornet because of the Gladius
my ideal ship.
type stuff going on right now. You mentioned in your stream that there is going to be an update coming this week. This is the 13th that this is being recorded on, so
there is
just so that people know.
Yes. I was talking with Toys R Me, one of the community members. He had a part in making the Pro Mod Citizen Arena or whatever it's called, where he rebalanced all the weapons himself, and the Pirate Swarm mod. He actually got to take part in a bit of a meeting with either one of the devs or a few devs who are focusing on straight up balance right now. One of the devs has made balance his pet project. He went to Toys and talked to Toys, and then Toys came and talked to me, and we discussed. He gave me this Google Doc thing, spreadsheet, whatever, where we can see where he wants the weapon balancing to be. I'm talking raw numbers and stats, and we actually got to discuss.
Is this?
We want the balance
I don't mean to interrupt. Is this going to be post? Are these balances going to be post the updated damage system for the the physics-based damage model? Okay,
pre. They weren't looking necessarily to fix it in the long term. They just wanted solutions where, hey, we're going to release a patch in 1 or 2 weeks. What are some simple things we can do? It's basically, it's not going to be the way it's going to be. It's going to get changed. This is a quality of life. They're going to have to rebalance the weapons again once they introduce a new damage system. But they came to Toys, and then me and Toys talked, and we discussed, just a simple quality of life. Simple things like nerfing the Omnis. CS missiles obviously need to get nerfed. Changing things like badges around to make overheating not so ridiculously frustrating, yet at the same time making sure the weapon doesn't become overpowered. Yeah, CS missiles gonna be fixed. Omnis might be nerfed. Omni bow.
All right. Well, that's definitely something to be looking forward to for the next update. I think that's all the time we have. I hope everyone enjoyed getting to hear from Hydro. That we definitely learned a lot about you and especially about the next update. I think that's all. We'll see you all in the verse. Bye.
Excellent work, gentlemen, and thank you, viewers, for sticking around. I know this is a little bit of a longer than normal episode, but we're going to actually wrap up this episode now with one more interview. Magnum PI actually went out and he talked to a gentleman that goes by the name of Santabel. Now, Santabel has been working on a personal project of his. He's actually building a complete destroyer class starship by himself. So we've got some screenshots of his Alexander class destroyer, and then we're going to wrap up tonight's episode with a little bit of content from Cotton Top and Tebow.
Well, good morning, Santabel. I know we've been working to schedule this for a few days now, but really appreciate that you've taken the time finally to sit down and we can talk about your amazing piece of capital ship work, the Alexander Advanced Warfare Destroyer. You guys are going to love seeing this thing. It's really something else to look at. Let's get down to business, I suppose.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to ask you about is everyone who's come to Star Citizen has a sort of different story about coming to this and experiencing the game in a different way and experiencing like what their primary backer reason was. So tell me a little bit about how long you've been following the game and what drove you to back in the first place.
I've been following it from basically its inception at the first Kickstarter side of things, but was not really sort of in a position to sort of jump on board at the time. Then basically real life as things do work and other things sort of jumped in the way for a while and sort of got pushed aside a little bit in my head. And then I was just randomly browsing YouTube one particular night and I came across just a vlogger video reviewing the Kickstarter progress and how it was this amazing thing. Knowing Chris Roberts' games in the past with being a Wing Commander fan and already being aware of the project, I sort of jumped back on at that point and then backed. That was in 2013.
As you'd said, life gets in the way. I completely understand that. What was your first ship, if you don't mind my asking, when you backed in? What sold you on your first ship?
My first ship was I wanted to back into the game, and I'm a big fan of beta and alpha testing wherever I can. So I wanted to make sure I secured a package that had that. So I started off. I really can't remember the name of the package level at the time because I know that they changed all of that. But it came with the Avenger. And I love the look of that because it was very almost sort of space shuttle-y kind of looking. It reminded me a little bit of the shuttle from the Avatar film, but had that nice sort of sleekness about it. And I liked the idea of having a bit of the back room to do bits and pieces with, so it was a good starting area. And then I came across the images of, very swiftly came across the images of the Constellation, and I couldn't back it quick enough.
I want to take this sort of Aegis line over here to the Alexander Advanced Weapons Class Destroyer that you've been working on, because this thing, as you can now see, is really something else, and it's looking about the size of a Javelin. So let's start first. You can look at this and you can definitely see some inspiration from existing RSI and CIG ships. You've got this very Bengali looking bridge area. You've got this engine layout that sort of mirrors the Javelin. Tell us what some of your inspiration was on this.
The inspiration behind the Alexander comes in a couple of different areas. Definitely the bridge has an influence from the Bengal. The original bridge very much so. The current bridge, it still is there, but it's nowhere near as heavy as it used to be. When I first started building the ship, the Bengal was the only capital ship we'd seen. And so I had to sort of take cues from what we could see, the way they were sort of putting things together, how they were sort of addressing things like escape pods and how they were lining them up. And the external equipment as well, where and sort of how it fit onto a ship, because really we hadn't seen anything bigger at that point. The Bengal did influence the early design quite significantly, although it's tapered away from that quite greatly since, although everybody still says they can see it in there, and so can I. The influence from the bridge, however, also came from medieval knight helms, mostly with the vision slot. A lot of work on the ship is function over form, so the ship's shape to some extent has sort of grown from what we needed the ship to do, what I needed the ship to do. The engines and things like that, the four nacelled engines, if you like, that you can see are actually manoeuvring thrusters. They're not the main engine of the ship. They're just extremely large directional thrusters, which have a junction on them very similar to the Reclaimer's multi-armed junction. But yeah, they have an influence from both the Javelin and the Orion. So the actual main directional thruster that moves the ship forward is actually at the rear of the ship. Initially it was just two, but now we have amalgamated that into one large one at the rear of the ship in the current build.
You mentioned that there's this big rear thruster in the back. However, there seems to be a big opening in the front. Is this, are you picturing this kind of Idris-style carrier, or what's the opening there?
That is actually what you're talking about there is actually the launch tube on the assault carrier variant of the ship.
And to either side of it are what look like torpedo tubes. What are those round tubes that are coming up along either side of that assault launcher?
They're twofold. They house the reverse thrusters, and they are sensor pods.
And you mentioned here now you've got your maps and more work going into this. I don't think many of our viewers here would know the amount of work that goes into putting one of these ships together. You know, I'm an impatient person, and I have an Idris, and I really would love to see mine, and I keep, I'm that kind of guy who charges and says, just let it go, you've got it out there. But looking at this and talking to you, I can certainly understand why you hold it back. There seems to be so much that goes into this. In designing something just like that to the fidelity that they strive for, tell us a little bit about putting all that together and what the experience is like, and I suppose what the time commitment is like on trying to build something this big.
Well, had I known it was probably going to take this long when I started, I probably still would have started, but I would have been a bit more lean on the top. I might have gone for a frigate or something instead. I'm over 15 months into the build since it started. We had the 1 year anniversary, I think, was the end of February, so we're well and truly into the build on the destroyer. And although externally it's sort of really coming together, there's still a lot of work to do. I'm only really just starting to bash out the basics of the interior. Although I've had some mock-ups in the past, the real work starts when the outside's sort of finished and I know what the superstructure is actually going to be. And like I said, that's taken, well over 12 months to get that far. Granted, if you had a small team of people on it, probably wouldn't take as long. But you still have to go through the phases. You still have to come up with the concept, then you have to block it out, then you have to start doing a few detail passes on it, and then you've got to get your technical designers on it to actually work out the spaces inside and how big things need to be. And from a modder point of view, that's actually quite difficult because CIG haven't given us all that information. So to work out the size the fuel tanks need to be, we have to look at what we have seen and what we can sort of find out through images or general conversations that you have through like 10 for the chairman or producers, that sort of thing.
I really want to thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and talk to us about this unbelievable project, made all the more so by the fact that you're doing this in your free time by yourself. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this project develops, and I'm so excited to see your next update on this, as I'm sure everyone who has just witnessed this is. Thank you again so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
How y'all doing tonight, folks? This here's Cotton Top, and I'm here with my main man, T-Bone. Say hello to everybody, T-Bone.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on?
Yeah, talking about that Cotton Top and T-Bone. That's right, we're here in this area of you hanging, and we're finna have us a good old time talking about the MISC Freelancer, which is a piece of junk because it's not a Taurus, but we'll talk about it anyway because we'll talk about just about anything.
I've heard a lot of bad things about this here ship myself, so I'm really curious to get into what's going on with it.
It's ugly and it's got big guns and whatnot, but we'll look at there, T-Bone, and see what we got going on. All right, heading on up.
Nice looking hangar, I do say so myself.
It's pretty good. Now if you look across the way to the left, folks, you see an Avenger sitting there.
That's a nice looking ship there now.
It's made by Aegis, which is a junk company, but it's a pretty ship. I like it myself. If you got to have a fight, I prefer an Avenger myself.
What are we working with here?
Them missiles, boy. Look at them.
Knock a hog down from 100,000 feet.
That's what I'm talking about. You have bacon pouring from the skies to the universe. You have a Saturn planet with bacon rings around it.
Paul ain't never hunted like that.
That's pretty good there, boy. And then Look at the cannons on this thing, boys.
Man, right there, I've heard real bad things about this ship. Goodness gracious, look at that.
I mean, if you just got...
That ain't looking deadly, I don't know what is.
If you just got to knock something down, I reckon it'd be a good hunting ship. I tell you, T-Bone, this might be what you need to go hunting deer and bad folks and whatnot. Look at that right there. Look like a dadgum lizard bug from Louisiana. Look at that. Lord have mercy. We're gonna step up in it this here way.
Okay. Going up under the ship to get in it. It's understandable.
Yep. It didn't have no ladder to let you get up top. You got, look at that, boy.
Nice little, what's that going on there? A little sink?
Microwave. Is that a microwave right there? Microwave oven, you warm up your stuff. And what's this here do? Look at that, boy. It's got a turlet. Look at that right here.
Ooh, walk-in shower.
Is that a shower too? Cause that, I don't know if I want to shower where my toilet is. That's you could use the toilet. What? While you taking a shower? That's both disturbing and appealing at the same time.
That's what it's looking like to me. Unless that's just a flush button, I don't know.
That's weird. And then we got this here, some Star Trek looking.
Nice equipment though.
I assume it's doing ecumenical computations on stardust and how you do, but it's too sophisticated for me, T-Bone.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on with all the technological stuff, you know. I get in it and I push the gas.
You got your two beds here, one on each side with the stowaway up under you. You put your rifle down here and then go to bed and get up and go out and shoot somebody. And then you got the cockpit up here. It's 4 people, brother. We take the whole family hunting.
Knock some stuff down right there, 4 people.
Pretty good.
Up front there, 2 beds, well. Got here in the back of the ship.
This must be like the halfway station. I don't even know what that do. Apparently we're not supposed to be standing here. Look at that right there.
That's danger all around there.
I can read. That's awesome. Now it's the same thing here. You can't stand back here. That's crazy. Boy, this is a little cargo space. It ain't big.
Starting to see why this ship right here ain't very appealing. You got all these danger signs up everywhere.
Something wrong with it. I like that right there, T-Bone. That's pretty good. Look at that. That's the Misk Freelancer. I don't care much for it because it's not a tourist. It's got some nice hog killing missiles and some deer shooting cannons. It's ugly. It's like the Pinto Pinto was a Ford, wasn't it?
I'm thinking it was, but you know what is shaping up for me is this looks like a very, very aggressive ship, but it turns out that only 4 people can ride in it, and only 2 people can sleep.
I hear you. You right, T-Bone. You the man. Well, folks, that's been our preview of the Misk Freelancer, and we thank y'all. And as always, we like to thank the Stargate Command community for welcoming us and keeping us straight and allowing us this beautiful time to do what we do. T-Bone, you got anything you want to leave these fine folks with?
Well, nah. I mean, I think we said what we needed to say. That ship there. I don't know.
10-4. Roger that, brother. Y'all have a good evening.
Alrighty, folks. Well, that just about does it for us tonight at the GWN. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode, and just a quick shout out to all the folks that helped contribute this time around. Great job, everybody. Viewers, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please leave comments below. And to any other RSI, Star Citizen community members or organizations out there that want to contribute to the GWN, you know, one of the directions we're starting to take is we really want to open this up to not just people at Cache or not just people at Stargate Command. It's really something for everybody. So, you know, feel free to contact us or leave comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you in the verse.